All right, let's
Well,
get it.
yes. So today I am super honored, thrilled, and what can I say? Ecstatic. I have with me the most beautiful lady you could imagine. Her name is Ashley, and I'm not sure if this is correct. What is your last name? It's Manso, right?
Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
Okay. I got it
Yes,
right.
thank you. It's a tough
Okay.
one for people. I don't know why, but it is.
Well,
Thank you.
we did it. We did it, girl. So Ashley is, a very interesting, rounded, amazing woman. And I'm going to go over her bio a little bit here because I want to give her the proper intro before we get into this wonderful interview here. So Ashley says she lives in Southern California, where I have lived my whole life, a little cosmic life this incarnation. So first of all, that's amazing. I love it. And she's a holistic practitioner in her third year at the Czech Institute. We are referred to as practitioners at year 3. So specializing in holistic lifestyle coaching, which means bringing people to synergistic places within themselves. That means observing one's stress, how they eat, how they sleep, how they digest, and they even observe elements about family, childhood, and mental mapping one's psychological approaches, blockages that need optimizing. A tuning fork practitioner, which is a measure of energy center healing by way of sound waves and resoluting improper frequencies in the hormone guidance and expertise for women with questions about their energy, hair loss, weight gain after 40, getting off the pill, trying to get pregnant, and an array of other menstruation or hormonal abnormalities. A performance coach. She's been a coach for 15 years, with the last 7 years being a level of service that includes corrective exercise, neuromuscular forms of rehabilitation, and prevention exercise, orthopedic postural assessments, and measuring, testing people's spinal curves and abdominal wall. Individual program design for people's cycles, assessments, and needs are created, and then we tail integrated approaches with everything above in getting people healthy. Lastly, she's been an astrologer for 5 years. And on a personal note, she has ran track for 15 years. 5 of them were professional. Wow. And she's performed in all natural bodybuilding division. Currently, she is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu athlete and coach. Wow. I'm blown away. I just am so honored to have you here today, Ashley. I'm going to get started with the first question here. And that is, because this podcast is around and all about transformation, what motivated you to become involved with Paul Chek's training?
Ooh, that is such a good one. So, what had me become enthused first was literally just what he was talking about. So, I was also, though, in a place in my life where I was really looking for new forms of expression for like my higher learning. I
Right.
was like, okay, well, I really don't believe in the medical model. I also don't really believe in like the business aspect of the educational model. I think there's a lot of frailty there and a lot of lack of care there. So I knew going that directive, like going for a master's or go, because I've gone to college and got the bachelor's and all that. But I was like, okay, well, what do I do next? Do I have to apply to a local university? Do I have to take certain tests again? None of that resonated because the industry, like I mentioned, behind education is just not anything that makes me comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I started searching for, and you can't make this up, I literally typed it in, higher consciousness podcasts. And I started with, I cannot make this up. So I
Nope.
started with NPR. And from NPR, I found Sahara Rose Higher Self podcast.
Right.
One thing really led to another. And then in my podcast, like search, algorithm, if you will, Living in 4D popped up. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, what is this? I was actually going to attend. IAAN or something. Anyways, Integrative Ayurvedic Nutritional University. Deepak Chopra is a guest there and an alumnus and an affiliate of that school. So I was like, well, I absolutely love Deepak Chopra at the age of my life. I was coming out of my professional track and field career, finding my way into martial arts, and I really rediscovered that route. And I was like, okay, I'll go there. And
Hmm.
right in the nick of time, I found what I found with the 4D Living in 4D podcast. And I just bought some correspondence courses. I literally just purchased a few items, and a few months late, like just like curricular items, I purchased scientific back training and a few other correspondence courses without being part of the academy.
Right.
And a few months later, I got a phone call if I was interested in joining the academy. And there was a lot of unemployment money that was still cascading around from the residuals of the pandemic. So I was really confident in starting. And then I did. I became an academy student.
Wow. What a trip.
Yeah, no
What a,
kidding.
well, and
Literally.
and absolute divine calling, I mean, like you say, I say this often, you cannot make this up because
No,
you can't. The
no.
way we are, guided, right? And sometimes we get off track and then we're guided right back onto that track. And, it fascinates me about you and what you're doing because I lived in Nelson, British Columbia for 4 years. I had moved there from Vancouver and there was a gentleman who owned a gym there. And my body was, in need of repair, rest, and recovery. And I went to the gym and actually my daughter, had told me about him. And oh my God, it was life changing. He was a Czech practitioner and he also incorporated other things into his program. But Ashley, I still use the program that he designed for me in 2007 because
Yeah,
as he said
sure.
to me, this is your body.
Mm.
And I was like, huh? And even years later, when I moved where I am now, I had torn a rotator cuff by, catching my granddaughter falling off of a staircase. And so,
Oh,
so
yep.
I contacted him again and I said, Ed, and he said, do your program. It's your body. And you know what? I did it and it worked. So, so I
Wow.
know the programs work and I'm so grateful that you are doing what you're doing. And the fact that you are doing a lot of work with women, we need women. We need you because
Yeah.
I know
We need more.
oh yeah, I know so many women that go to men coaches and hey, I'm not
Yes.
against men. I love men,
No, no.
you know,
Same.
but it
Same. From
is,
my coaches to
yeah,
my teammates, my clients, of course, but, da 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 da.
right,
Fill in the dots.
exactly. So now what fascinates you about being and doing what you're doing? What fascinates you?
So I have to say, the human body being the laboratory that it is what fascinates me. What's fascinating to me is that sometimes not everything needs such a physical approach. Sometimes literally a psychosocial or psychic approach to things. I can
Hmm.
have someone on my physical therapy. I also do forms of like neuromuscular, like you mentioned, neuromuscular
Right?
uh, hands-on body work. And sometimes but also because of my time with tuning forks and also my interest and fascination with energy and epigenetics and what energy is and how our cells pick up on our language, they can hear those things. So these kinds of energetic epigenetics and stuff really is what fascinates me. So I got led to tuning forks because the founder was on the Paul Check podcast. And then I became a tuning fork practitioner because I read her book and listened to the podcast and I became that kind of energy worker. So, having someone on the table, it's like, yeah, I can perform the body work I need on the tissues, but what if this person's cells just need something more energetic? What if we need to speak into their situation differently? And sometimes addressing an issue on the right side of a patient or a client that's something going on with them muscularly and you ask them about the masculine relationships in their life. Doesn't always have to mean man, like masculinity is just an energy, but you start talking to them about those imbalances. And I mean, I have plenty of tribe members that would back this up. They get off the table with minimal, manual compression, manual work. And these folks are standing better, feeling better, released, they are lighter. So that to me is the most fascinating aspect of it, is how really, really synergistic things are with us.
Wow. Well, that, partially answers my next question, which was,
Sure.
what motivates you to continue expanding this field more and more and more?
Yeah. So I have this great little saying that, I got from wherever, but I share it with everybody. And it is, the more you, because sometimes when I start speaking to like my new clients, or if my clients have reached a threshold and it's time for us to, discuss things further about further treatment or different design, they're looking at me like deers in the headlights, like super helpless. Like, you've just left me with all this information. And I'm like, yeah, the more you know, the stupider you become. So it's like, the more I know, the more it's like, all right, so then how do we extrapolate? How do we keep going with this? So that's the motivation, is the newfound ignorance, but also like, this is my work. This
Mhm.
is absolutely what I've incarnated and created contracts with certain souls for me to do. This
Right.
really is work, not in the daily, but this is the work that I do astrally and here, and have contracted myself to do here. So that's the motivation too. You're supposed to do this. Yeah, that's
Right.
it.
Exactly. Exactly. A woman on a mission. Absolutely. And
Yes,
was there,
yes.
was there anything that happened in this lifetime for you that, brought you to this calling specifically?
Yeah. A mix of a couple of things. And that would be basically how I've chosen strife over nuance. I really have chosen, maybe subconsciously, to learn things a little bit harder, a little bit more block in the water kind of thing, and divert the flow.
Right.
So that has been very optimal. So at young ages, just getting in trouble socially. And not in like, I was still a student. I had a job at the age of 15. I, ran track in high school, junior high school. So it's not like I was out there cutting loose, but challenging authority,
Mhm.
not my parents, but certainly teachers who I knew were, in my opinion, right, as 16, 17-year old or younger, a little bit older. I'm like, the people I live with and the people that are in my family are far more conscious than you people, and you people think you can tell me what to do. So I had problems with authority in school, definitely in the workplace. And because I was so athletic and hot headed, and that leads into some violent situations, I ended up in jail for just getting into a fight in college, right? I was early 20s, right before I moved out.
Mhm.
So this malplaced anger, when I was brought up with, a holistic background. My parents are from Cuba. I'm a first generation Cuban American.
Wow.
So things of the earth, medicinal properties of the earth, energetic forms of healing, just literally the life that I live now and the things that I coach and instrument now have really always been a part of my life. Yes, we had the hot pockets from Costco, and yes, my parents shopped where they could, but even our eating lifestyle, supplemental lifestyle, a life of discipline, I just grew up in it.
Mhm.
So it really only made sense that my BS had me remember how I grew up and how different and important that is. And it just led me back down this path.
Right.
So my strife made me remember, what I am pretty much.
Well, I mean, it's amazing. And I would have to say, because of the work I do with epigenetics and intergenerational systemic trauma, I believe, and I think fits right in here. You know, I often, when I work with clients, I work with them to bring forward their ancestral resources. And I believe that your ancestors were really giving you a lot of resources to move into this field, right? To bring this out. Absolutely. Like that is,
There it is with me. plants, whether it is with my animals, my relationship to my family, my relationship to food. Like we're talking really integral, inherent powers, ultimately powers, which everybody has, but most people are asleep to them.
Hmm.
And I, at the age of 7, I've been aware of what is inherent to me, but my adolescence definitely took me away and took me further from it. But I did end up making it back. Yeah, I did.
Well, yeah, and what a journey it's been, right? And will continue to be. And now
Yeah.
with your work, there's so many women in need with everything that's going on through stress in the world, in the food, in the air, in the,
Yeah.
in just everything, right? In life, the hormone guidance that you have, right? Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I know
Totally.
a lot of women here will be listening and will really want the information. And then we will, through the posting of this, I will be leaving people with your information to contact you. But yeah, the hormone is such a miracle.
Right. And I'm open, I'll just say it, here first. I'm completely open to be a channel of communication, just we have to know this stuff for self, for daughters. We just have to know this stuff. I personally wasn't raised with any shame around menstruation or, very hardcore religious confines. Like it's just not how I grew up. So again, I'm not just some crazy feminist speaking up and advocate. I advocate for men in the same way and in
Hmm.
different ways, but I advocate for men as well and their hormonal health, their integrative wellness approaches to themselves. That needs a lot of resoluting too. But this is really, again, how I was raised, who I am. So veering off into these courses of knowledge, again, I wasn't raised around a lot of shame with this stuff. Like, sadly, a lot of girls and women have been,
Hmm.
let alone fathers can't talk to their daughters about some of these things. Like, my dad would go to the store and get me pads and be like, the ones with the wings or the ones without the wings, that's how I grew. And I
I
had a
love it.
brother growing up. Yeah. So things around that were very respectful. So I've always understood to honor it. So, I'm not taking any aggressive stance here, but again, this is something I learned at the Institute. There was, and this actually happened kind of consequently. I didn't know that this was going to be happening. So I was still listening to the Higher Self podcast, the Sahara Rose initially one, while
Right?
I was doing my stuff for the Institute. I was in my first and a half years or something like that. Yeah, year 1.5. And on this podcast was this, and now again, an islander woman, and I'm Caribbean, I'm Cuban, she's Puerto Rican. I'm like, wait, what? A Puerto Rican lady is talking about hormones and stuff. So Eileen Brighton is a fascinating, beautiful soul, and I can send you these resources to share with our listener base. What a purposeful being through experience and knowledge. This woman is an encyclopedia of information in regards to birth control and its effects,
Hmm.
what it does to us, when we come off of us, what we have to do, hormone cycling and what that means for getting pregnant, preventing pregnancy. It is just insightful and it is called Beyond the Pill. So it really
Oh,
was a podcast and a podcast. I'm sorry, it really was a podcast and a series of listening. Her book that I read, of course, listened, but read, was mainly about the birth control pill. That again, it proliferated what I was doing. And I think I got in a year about 5 girls off. Now, not that I was, hey, you got to get off of this, but
right.
once I understood what was going on with them based off of what I listened to, and I knew some of these girls were on contraceptives since they were 15 years old and they're in their 30s. I'm
Oh,
like, girl, we got to talk about this implant. We got to talk about this synthetic pill that someone got you used to taking. And nonetheless, one of them was actually diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And in Eileen Brighton's text, there is discussion about the synthetic effects of birth control and that contributing to autoimmune diseases, one of which being Hashimoto's, because
right.
your ovaries stop talking to your brain. So this creates an immune response in the body. Now, year 2 comes around at the Holistic Health Institute, and one of my courses is Health and Human Performance for Women
Mm.
with Sarah Gustafson.
Hmm.
Well, guess a lot of the clinical research that she's drawing from, besides her own, right, is Eileen Brighton. And I
Wow.
had just read everything the year before. So then now for health and human performance, now we're talking about program design. I'm talking about working in, things that I talk about on my posts, menopause, about how to integrate exercise science for women.
Hmm.
Women only make up 4% of science. So, the women that think I got to cut this out, cut that. Yeah, things are necessary, of course, to do. But how many women are being misdiagnosed, misapproached because of male doctors, because of science based off of what we make up 4%? And this was a couple years ago. So hopefully it's more now. 4% of science, 3% of exercise science. So this what happened. We got a bunch of dudes writing our programs and writing our life story chemically here based off of us. And this I'm not making up, us being dosed as smaller men. If you
Incredible.
remember in the, yeah, if you remember in the late 80s when women were like literally running over their husbands and sleep cycling and sleep walking and all of these things, like you can really curtail and find this issue that was going on kind of in the United States with women and Ambien. Well,
Hmm.
they were overdosing women with Ambien because what they did was just take the average male weight compared to the average female weight, brought the dose down, considered that we have mammalia glands, and started dosing women with Ambien. It was almost 3 times more the dose that women actually need based off of estrogen and based off their hormones. And
Insanity.
again, you can find this information in that book and then
Hmm.
follow it further out there too. Yeah, it's
Well,
stupid.
it's insane. And, my mother died when I was 14. She was 41. And
That is way too young.
oh yeah, the autopsy report came back and it was extremely high estrogen.
Yeah.
She had a stroke and she was one of the women who was a guinea pig for the pill at that time.
Well, yeah,
And
because they came out in the 60s. So guess
exactly,
who's going to be the
exactly.
guinea pig?
Yeah,
Your mom, your
yeah.
aunt. Yeah.
And she died in 1971. And it was, I mean, just reading her at 14, reading her autopsy report shocked me to the point where I started even then doing what I could, before the internet, before a computer, before whatever, to find out
Absolutely.
how to avoid this. And I never went on the pill ever.
We weren't for that. I did once when I was 19, college age and all that stuff. And I was very independent at the time. So
Hmm.
I just went to the local Planned Parenthood and got on birth control and realized, again, a young lady who's very, very in tune with herself without
Right.
maybe knowing it at that age. I was on that for 9 months and I was like a raging bull. I knew there was illness going on within me. I'm like, okay, this is amplifying a little bit too much of what is dissatisfactory within me. And I
Right.
never touched it again. Never touched it again. No,
It, and so glad you didn't. Your body
no.
thanks you,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I spent
Absolutely.
9 months on it. I'm glad we did not go forth with that chapter.
No kidding. So when you work, w- give me a day in the life.
Sure.
I come to you and what are you going to do for me? I'm not saying like, what are you going to cure me of? I'm saying,
No,
what
I
are we
know what
going to
you mean.
do?
Yeah.
What are we
Yeah.
going to do together?
Okay, we start with so we've gotten a hold of each other. We've gone through the talking and the okay, we vibe. This is someone who aligns with me. This is a resonant situation. Let's do it. We
Right.
start with a posture assessment, whether it's remote or in person.
Oh, okay. So
Everything starts with a
you do
posture
work
assessment.
online then?
Yeah, that's how I'm training season. Mhm.
Ah, awesome. Yeah, I
Yep.
know. I just want my listeners to know that you can do this
Oh,
online.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for
I didn't
sure.
just send season homework. No, no, no. We have accountability. We have weekly check-ins. We get to work. I've actually been putting her to work already, and it
Oh,
took us a couple sessions to get through the assessment. And I was like, okay, got the assessment. This is what you need to be doing on your own. And who knows, maybe some of the follow-up that she was doing and some of the movements helped her prevent from getting the flu right
hmm.
away.
Hmm.
But then, and hopefully it doesn't end up hitting her too hard because she was doing her due diligence. So
Right,
you,
exactly. So,
you never know.
so with regards to someone who comes to you, like if I came to you, what would you be doing with me? First of all,
We're gonna we're gonna do a posture assessment. So whether we're just virtual or not,
Mhm.
there's a couple things I can't really do, like actually measure the spine by touching it.
Right.
That's okay. That's okay. A lot can get figured out from just an assessment on FaceTime. From there, you can get a report back of what was going on. But with that posture assessment, with your booking of your appointment, you got your holistic lifestyle questionnaires. So you're telling me about your stress. And it's just literally a questionnaire. You answer kind of yes or no, checks and boxes in
Okay.
certain categories:
Okay.
sleep, digestion, when you eat, what you eat. There's a hormonal questionnaire, and then there's a primal pattern eating questionnaire. We just find out your metabolic type through some awesome subjective questionnaires. So you get these three things. Now you're taking questionnaires, you're taking in this information about yourself, and now we're getting you to think. So
Right.
by now, the questionnaires have been figured out. I know what hormone discussions we're going to have after the posture assessment. I work with the three highest scores in all the questionnaires, and we dive into posture, how your abdominal wall is firing passively, little pelvic floor talk, hormonal talk, and that's the foundation for your program. From
Wow.
there, your movement design is all revolving around your assessment.
Mhm.
Because we get, and especially if you're in pain, like a little bit of what your story was walking into the local gym. If you're
Mhm.
in pain, the only objective is getting you away from pain. Otherwise, we're doing things in a compensatory manner, working around the pain and integrating it. No, no, no. Let's get that out. Move the client or patient away from pain first. And then we start to work an optimizing kind of program, like building the body for this. Maybe you want to do a triathlon one day. So that's where we work. And that's where the inside out approach is. The inside out approach is starting with the questionnaires. We fire all the internal stabilizers of your body, see how your support and how your spine is supported. And we build a program off that. If there's pain, we move away from it. And then we can start getting specifics into your design. And
Wow.
nutrition is part of it because you fill out a questionnaire. So it really is an educational journey. And yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, but you're going to be finding out a lot about yourself.
A fascinating journey.
Yeah.
Really for a
Yeah.
lot.
Of self exploration.
Absolutely. I mean, it would be really an adventure, you know.
It's been described as that before. That I do hear that. I definitely do hear that
Oh, for
amongst
sure.
my tribe members. Yeah.
I wouldn't see it being anything else because of the fact you do from inside out, right?
Oh,
It's
well, we're
not just
never going to
walking.
find out.
Yeah. But I bringing it, it's so interesting. I joined a gym here in the city and I actually stopped going. I can do everything in my program except for one little snippet I need to be, in a gym, but Season has the actual machine in her home that I can utilize. So I don't need to go to the gym, but I did join the gym when I was in the city and the male trainer, it was, it was mind blowing. He saw me doing my program and he said, "Oh girl, you really need to, do this and do." I,
Oh
and
my goodness.
I looked at him. Meanwhile, while he's telling me this, he's on his phone talking at the same time he's taking selfies while he's pumping weights and going, and I joined the gym on a very quiet day. And I thought, well, this gym is quiet. I am used to not working in a gym where there's loud music and a lot of grunting and groaning. And I was
Those
there
things
that
are
I
tough
was,
and bad.
yeah, I was there that day when it was quiet. And he said, "Oh yeah, it's very quiet." And then, and then when I joined, all of a sudden, boom, everything. So, the environment of which this is all done in is so important as well. And
It's actually one of our foundation principles. When you're writing a program for someone, you have to actually ask them about their environment. What
right.
kind of environment would you be working out in? Is literally something we have to consider before the design gets tossed together. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking in terms of the various nervous systems. I mean, a lot of people are driving so fast in sympathetic mode, all of a sudden
Yeah.
hitting the brick wall and then dropping right into parasympathetic and trying to come back into the balance. But if you're in a gym where it's, for me specifically, with noise and grunting and groaning and it's like, whoa, my nervous system goes into overdrive just being in that environment.
Overloaded.
Yeah.
Hmm. overloaded.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
But then now that we're supposed to make something parasympathetic, now we're actually driving more stress responses. And it's like, okay, well, working out is a good stress, but the environment might affect that if you're not aware.
exactly. That's why I brought it
Yeah.
up because I'm wanting the listeners to know that maybe their environment that they're in isn't so working for them, you know? They might actually consider consider a change up, you know? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your
And
your
that might mean whatever it means. Maybe you just have to work out outside for a little bit and understand what that's like. If you have good form, you can use your own awareness. Sometimes you got to work out outside. Sometimes you have to work out with headphones in. Sometimes you should just have no music on. I think we should have variable training environments, just to your point about the sympathetic and parasympathetic.
and your gym in California, which part of California are you located in?
I'm in Southern California, so I'm about an hour from the coast, if you will, if we're thinking about the Orange County coast or LA, which God, I hate LA. But anyways, I'm
Yeah, I'm
about
not
an
a fan
hour from
either.
the coast and definitely in a city, but very capable of branching out into other very quiet areas. But the first place you would run into when escaping this inner city model would be the beach for me, where I also have a gym out in the coastal cities as well, where I run my business there. So I'm in between two cities. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. You are busy.
Busy girl,
Busy
busy
girl.
girl. Yeah, I
But
wouldn't have it, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
no, and it's great. But you are taking new clients on, right?
Always,
Always.
I remember the days of the wait list, and that was because it was pandemic and I was the only gym open. However, the gym was my house. So those were like 16-hour days. I did have wait lists at one point. So now it's just about having people come in and come out if that's what they choose, or come in and seeing where they fit in the gravitational field. And people come and go. Some people are very, very fixed to this program, and I see them 4 times a week, either because of jujitsu or, strength and conditioning treatment. So people that come and go, people that stay, there's a really good balance. So we're
hmm
just always open to new clients. Yeah.
I believe that, the body knows and, with everything. And so for me, like I say, I'm still doing my program that was designed for me in 207. And, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Right. But
I agree.
the fact of the matter is it was broke until I got that program that was designed by someone like yourself who had the training that you
Yes.
do. And, so I am speaking accolades here and shouting from the rooftop on your work. I'm so grateful that you have come into my daughter and my life
Yeah.
and that I can share, with my audience, you know, because there are people out there in desperate, and I mean desperate shape and,
Yeah.
and need and
And
need
need. Yeah.
and need, right? And it's
Yeah.
not just about having a, whatever body. It's about the whole package inside out, which I
Absolutely.
love what you
Thank
do.
you.
And
Thank you.
yeah,
But
it's so important. And once a person gets in tune with that, not you, but me, I didn't want to let it go. And I haven't let it go because of the fact it worked. And when I'm off track, I go, okay, girl, what you not doing right, sister? you know? Um,
exactly. What
yeah,
haven't you checked into today?
exactly.
What have you been pushing in the back burner, right?
Exactly. And so those pillars, right? Those
Yes.
those different
Yeah,
pillars are so crucial to check into. And when a person gets stressed out, it's so easy to let it slip. But the thing is
absolutely.
that the beauty of it is with the program that you design for people is that they can tell when they're slipping. This
And that's
is,
the
this
point.
is the
Exactly.
point. And
Yep.
they can come back to the homeostasis place where they can reconnect. And it's not like, oh God, I got to start all over again. You know,
Right.
it's not like that at all.
No, no, I just have to reintegrate it.
Right.
some of the beauty of these programs is exactly as you said. People notice when they haven't been using it. And then you hear in the conversations, hey, this is what's going on with me, but I haven't been doing my core work. This is what's going on with me, but I know I haven't, and it's just builds awareness. Well, awareness moves you further from pain. Awareness moves you into more preventative measures. So to
Right.
me, hey, if you slip off a little bit, great. At least you'll find your way back. And if you don't, then some of these principles of this program design is clients also do have to understand it is your choice. It is ultimately your choice. So, even adults here are learning a little bit more about responsibility and discipline and what it actually really means to have accountability to self. And, adults can be married and have mortgages and have full careers and forget that very foundational concept that the self need reverence and the self need awareness and attentiveness. It's not just get to the workout to get it over with. No, it's
Right.
an integral part of your aliveness. I mean, you should know when you have slipped away. You certainly should. Also
Exactly.
prove that you're a healthier person if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does ripple down. It really does. I mean, little ones are always watching, and they
Absolutely.
they are always taking in, what's going on in their
Yep.
environment. And so,
Yep.
garbage in, garbage out is the big one, right? So if they see a
In
lot of,
everything. Hmm.
absolutely, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial, everything. It
In
just,
everything.
yeah, it comes back to those pillars. Oh my goodness. Well, I am so grateful that you have been here today with us.
Me
And
too.
I
Me too.
cannot wait for this podcast to go out for women, men to, be able to listen, and also to be able to know that there is assistance, there's help, and the big thing is you got to want it,
Understanding.
and understanding. You got
Mhm.
to want it,
Mhm. You
and
do. Yes.
once you want it, there's always a way to find it. And I found you through my daughter.
Because
So
all you have to do is want it, and
exactly.
truth be told, I was really wanting something like this with season in this exact archetype. I had just closed a about year and 4 month chapter with someone in Ohio who is fascinating and a practitioner themselves and worked with professional athletes and is making growth in her career because of our relationship. And I really felt comfortable again with doing a whole embodied program with someone who has some physiological trauma onsets. And I really was thirsting for that in this kind of archetype, the online situation. So
Hmm.
we really did find each other, but I wanted it. I was wanting it, and so were you. So may that be a lesson of just the fact that we're just walking magnets. All you have to do is
Exactly.
want something with your heart and swear to the universe it's yours. Just let it get through density. Yeah.
I call it placing an order. I liken it to,
Yeah.
putting an order in, okay, I want this, so I'm ordering it. And
The catalog.
it's
We're
a
looking through a
catalog, right?
catalog.
It's a catalog,
Yeah.
and it goes out into the ethers and it comes back, and it doesn't have to be delivered by Amazon.
No, it doesn't have to come with a green vest.
No,
Exactly.
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 Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, so what is the best way for people to get in touch with you, Ashley?
Absolutely through my Instagram. I don't have notifications set on it because I'm on it every day. I give myself 3 whole hours to be on it daily.
Okay.
I just being who I am, trying to live by example. I think 3 hours daily, even on the weekends, don't care. There's plenty of posting to do, plenty of interacting to do. Find me through my DMs. I have a public profile. I would say email, but you're going to get that from me. And you're literally going to get my
Right.
phone number when we connect on direct message. So that would be the most saturated and easy place to reach me ahead of time to start a program.
Okay. So your Instagram name is
Abundant Mind 3, one word and the number 3.
oh,
Abundant Mind 3.
okay. Okay. So this will be all posted on the promo that I put
Yeah,
out for you. Yeah, for sure.
perfect.
Well,
And if there's any resources you need for the text that I was mentioning, I'm happy to send those over to
oh,
you as well.
perfect. Great. Thank you
Yep.
so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. You are a
And
total
me too.
dream come true. I'm
Thank
so
you. You guys
excited.
too.
I'm so excited for everyone who's listening because you are a dream come true. And I know a lot of people are wanting to put an order in. so, so
Yeah. Let's
we
get it.
we
Let's
will
get
get
it.
this out. It'll probably be
Yeah.
out in a couple of weeks from now because I
Yeah.
only do bi-weekly. So
That's normal. So I've heard that's normal.
yeah,
Awesome.
no, it's good because next you will be right after next Sunday, which is a post on life after sugar. So that's yeah,
That's
it's,
awesome
yeah.
sequencing.
So you will, follow that. And I've set it up this way. So I'm really grateful that you've taken the time today, Ashley. I'm honored to know you. And I'm truly grateful that you are doing the work you're doing for so many people that are in need and want. So thank you and many blessings to you.
You and for
All
you
right.
too. Thank you for giving me so much purpose. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh,
I'm
you bet,
sending you
sweet.
loving hugs.
Yeah, same here. Bye bye.
Bye, my friend.
Goodbye.